Hello, and thank you for joining me on today's video blog. Today's a pretty serious topic. Our buyer broker commissions are under attack, and are you ready for what's coming down the pipeline? So many of you may or may not be aware that right now there's some pretty major lawsuits happening around buyer broker commissions. In fact, a group of sellers got together and got an attorney, and they're suing a handful of really large major real estate brokerages, ones that are publicly traded, ones that you definitely know the names of. And a huge settlement was just announced. And they don't know the details of the settlement. They did say it's somewhere around $83 million was part of that settlement. But what does this mean for us as real estate brokers? If you're like me, half of your business roughly comes from buyers. And could you risk potentially not having that buyer broker commission? So I want to give you a couple of tips and techniques to make sure that you're preparing yourself so that regardless of what comes down the pipeline, you're going to be ready for it. So first and foremost, and I'm very happy to share this, there was a letter written by Stefan Swanepoel and his organization about what is happening with buyer broker commissions. Along with, in the back here, what are some recommendations for what's happening with NAR, with each your brokerage, and how to basically get in front of this. Many of you may have seen, if you're part of RE Colorado, the primary MLS for the Denver metro area and for most of Colorado, that there is now an option when you're listing a property to put zero commission for the buyer broker. So if you're an average agent out there doing 4 to 10 deals a year and half of those are buyers, what are you going to do so you can make sure to continue getting paid? So number one, you gotta show value. And how I believe you show value is we have a fantastic buyer book that we walk all of our buyer clients through so they know what we're doing with them and how we're going to help them, how we're going to make sure to work on their best interest with a fiduciary responsibility so that it can get them to the closing table with the best results possible. We are also discussing how we are compensated. If you are aware, if you look in the Colorado real estate contracts, there's a couple different things you can check on how you're compensated. One of them is that you're going to be compensated by the seller, the seller's broker, the seller's brokerage firm. And then the other one is, are you going to be compensated by the seller, the seller's brokerage firm, the broker? And if none of those pay, ultimately the buyer is responsible for the commission. This is the one that I always recommend that you check. Of course, please make sure to consult your office's attorney on how they recommend you doing it. When you start working with a buyer client, sit down with them in the beginning. So many agents, they look at working with buyers as kind of shopping with friends. You meet up with somebody, you go take a look at properties, you look at more properties, and I cannot tell you how many agents will get their buyer broker signed the day that they're submitting an offer for their client. That day is gone. You must establish yourself as the licensed professional who is helping them. The way you're going to do that is by educating them on the advantage of signing a buyer broker agreement right away. A couple of quick tips I can recommend to you is if I see an amazing deal on a property and you're my buyer, well, if I don't have an agency agreement with you, I actually have a fiduciary responsibility to share that with every other buyer that I know, or maybe I want to buy that property for myself. When I have a fiduciary responsibility to you because we have a buyer broker agreement, now I have that responsibility to present you with these opportunities before I would ever consider it for myself and before I would consider it for any other client, especially if that client doesn't have an agency agreement signed. So number one, know the value of an agency agreement for your client. Number two, be able to walk them through the steps of what you're going to do and how you're going to prove value. Instead of just opening a door, we're not just monkeys opening a door out there. There's so much more that we do as a real estate broker. So make sure that you know that and make sure it's documented and something you can slide across the table and hand to them and something you can send to them via email so that you have a documented record. Now, number three, you are a listing agent. You are selling properties. We always go after a certain commission or a marketing fee so that we can offer that co-op fee out there. One thing I strongly recommend, get clear with the services you offer. If a client doesn't want to offer a buyer broker commission, decide, is that a client you want to work with? Make sure to educate them on what that could potentially do to the offers that are coming in or not coming in, because that's not offered out. And then finally, the last piece I'll recommend, get clear with what this means from a financial standpoint for your clients. Talk to lenders so that lenders are aware of this. One of the things that NAR is recommending is that lenders start getting prepared to allow the buyer broker commissions to be part of the financed structure for those buyers. It's not out yet, but just start having these conversations. So I don't mean to scare you, but I mean to prepare you for what's coming. If you've got questions about any of this, if you want to talk with me personally, DM me, click on the link, schedule a time so that we can chat. No matter what happens though, educate yourself, be the expert, and be prepared. I know you'll thank me for it. I know you'll thank yourself for it. I hope you got some value out of today's video blog. Until the next time, stay safe, go help some people, come from gratitude, and great things will follow.